Hello everyone, I'm Meteorologist Charlie Ironmonger. Thank you so much for joining me today for your 1 p.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. Now we will get to your forecast coming up in just a few moments, but we do have some news to share with you out of the newsroom and want to start out by highlighting the 40th anniversary of the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster, where one of the pilots killed in the tragedy called Eastern North Carolina home. On January 28, 1986, U.S. Navy pilot Michael Smith of Beaufort was among the 7 on board the shuttle when the Challenger exploded. Tragedy struck 73 seconds after the shuttle launched at 11:38 a.m. from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The explosion was caused by a leak in one of the 2 solid rocket boosters that ignited the main liquid fuel tank. The explosion became one of the most significant events of the 1980s as billions watched the accident on television. Smith was a commander in the U.S. Navy at the time of the Challenger explosion. After extensive training flying jets and planes, Smith was selected to be a NASA astronaut in May of 1980. After further training, he was assigned the following year as a space shuttle pilot aboard the Challenger. Now, Smith's legacy is remembered in Beaufort through a memorial that sits along the town's waterfront. Beaufort's Michael J. Smith Field Airport is also named in his honor. And now we also want to turn our attention to world politics and events, specifically now surrounding Iran and protests that had been happening and the chaos that was seen in the streets where thousands were killed by security forces. NBC's Keir Simmons has more.
President Trump signaling that he is close to making a decision on whether to strike Iran, saying in a post overnight, "Time is running out. I told Iran once before, make a deal. They didn't. And there was Operation Midnight Hammer, which he describes as a major destruction of Iran. He says the next attack will be far worse." Now, Midnight Hammer came after Israel's 12-day war with Iran. It involved 14 bunker-busting bombs and Tomahawk missiles. Meanwhile, Arab leaders here in the region signaling their disinterest, their dislike, honestly, of this potential strike on Iran. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, making a phone call to the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, and a Saudi readout of that call saying that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will not allow its airspace or territory to be used for any military actions against Iran. The concern is that Iran could use its 3,000 ballistic missiles and turn those against perhaps not just Israel, but Arab allies of the US, where US bases are stationed in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Bahrain. There are many US bases in this region and many US servicemen and women stationed here. So this is a potential decision fraught with risk, but the president indicating that he is prepared to make the decision, though he is still open to negotiation, suggesting that if Iran was prepared to give up its nuclear weapons program, then he would be prepared to make a deal. Iran has never said it would be prepared to do that. Keir Simmons, NBC News, Dubai.
Well, thank you, Keir, for that report. We now turn to your weather forecast where, again, all eyes on this weekend. We've got a First Alert weather day for Saturday and Sunday, and well, Saturday night and Sunday night as well. They deserve your attention and likely will get it as snowfall is going to be expected across most of eastern North Carolina. Right now, here is a look at what we are anticipating. Of course, it is still too early for any sort of specific accumulation forecast. If you're hoping again for a map that shows a certain amount of snow where you live, you're not going to get that until we get to, I would say, tomorrow evening, maybe even Friday morning if we start to see some adjustments. Now, over the past 24 hours, we've seen again really not just 24 hours, really over the past 3 days, we have seen a very consistent picture out of really consistent model data coming out of, again, the GFS, the Euro, most major weather models. So we, again, are seeing a little bit more confidence in the fact that we are looking at a snow system for this coming weekend. The question is where exactly will that low track, and how strong will it be? How much moisture can it pick up before it actually starts impacting eastern North Carolina? Now, timing starts Saturday morning. Most likely we'll see flakes come down prior to sunrise on Saturday. Now, most of the flakes will be gone, I would say Sunday morning, but all of them gone, I would give it right around midday on Sunday, right around lunchtime, maybe a little bit before that. Now, as far as temperatures go, we are going to be staying well below freezing through the entire weekend. Saturday afternoon high, 28 degrees. Sunday afternoon high, 29 degrees. Overnight lows in the mid-teens. I believe it's 16 and 15 or 16 and 14 degrees overnight, Saturday night and Sunday night respectively. It is going to be very cold, and anything again that falls is likely going to be sticking to the ground. Sticking is the wrong word. Freezing to the ground is more like it. 36 degrees right now in Greenville. Comes with a west-southwesterly breeze at about 3 miles an hour and plentiful sunshine. Seeing that lone streak of clouds over the skyline is an indicator we're probably not looking at rain anytime soon. Obviously, we've got a change in the moisture forecast this coming weekend, but for today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, everything is looking very dry across the east. Current air temperatures reading in the mid to upper 30s. Right now, Jacksonville enjoying a 40-degree reading. We knew the 40s would be possible this afternoon. As far as what we've got wind-wise, very light, more of a westerly breeze coming in at this point at around 4 to 8 miles an hour. Through the rest of today, skies are going to remain mostly sunny. And as we head into the overnight hours, we'll be dropping back down below freezing once we get past 6 p.m. We'll end up likely in the, I would say, low to mid 20s coming up for tomorrow morning. But we're going to have two cold fronts, dry cold fronts, moving through eastern North Carolina between now and the start of the snowfall. That is a big reason why the snow is going to be possible. Here is the first one. Position at 9 a.m. earlier this morning was across Virginia. That is going to be again pushing its way across the east later on this evening, ushering in more cold air. Then another one right on behind that one is going to be moving through Thursday afternoon to Thursday evening. Again, introducing more cold air to eastern North Carolina. While, again, those fronts won't have any moisture associated with them until they reach the Atlantic. There, of course, off our coast, you can see some snowflakes coming down. But that, of course, is a function of the ocean. Certainly more moisture present over the ocean than there is over land, which again why these are going to be dry fronts moving through. But regardless of whether or not they put any moisture down, that's not really the point of those systems. It is the cold air that they will bring in. And we've got our eyes on that low pressure system you're seeing back towards Mississippi. It is that system that is expected to cruise on down over the Gulf, move over Florida, and then as we head into Saturday morning, it will start to intensify off the coast of Georgia. That's when we start to see a potential for some snowflakes coming down as that low gets stronger. There you can see again a lot of cold air will be present, not just over the weekend, but even extending as far into the week as, I would say, Tuesday. Tuesday morning, we are still going to be down in the teens waking up. So anything stuck on the ground is going to be sticking around for quite some time. Here's again another look at the impacts this coming weekend. These are again the latest model runs. I believe this is the European model to give you guys kind of a little more background on what you're looking at. You can see again we've got some snowflakes coming down across Virginia and then over the mountains. A little bit more rain off of the coast of Cape Fear and South Carolina, but that is that low pressure system intensifying, getting stronger, growing up, if you will. It is going to gather more moisture, and with that cold air in place over the Carolinas, that moisture is again going to get close enough to bring in some flakes. But right now, trends are holding with that the path of that low staying just off the coast, essentially in the sweet spot for snow creation as we head through your Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, even extending into Sunday morning. This is going to, again, be a 24-hour system, maybe even a little bit longer than that. Could end up being, we'll call it a 30-hour system from essentially Saturday morning prior to sunrise to around midday on Sunday we are going to have snowflakes around eastern North Carolina. Now, exactly where the heaviest ones are going to be lining up is still up for debate. There is, again, plenty of time between now and the weekend for the area of low pressure that has yet to truly form. Yeah, we can see the beginnings of its formation coming around Friday near the Gulf Coast, kind of around Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. But there has certainly been some adjustments each model run we have seen with the initialization point, the start point for that low, and then the official track of that low. So, or at least the model trend of that low. So there is, again, still plenty of time for forecast adjustments, and that's why we haven't put out any snowfall maps. But Saturday and Sunday, each day that's passed, it looks more and more locked in. Of course, coming up for tomorrow evening, I think we will have enough data to feel confident enough to put forth a snowfall accumulation map. Again, that's coming up tomorrow evening to tomorrow night. If we do start to see some wild swings with the models, we may push that back to Friday morning. But what we don't want to do is put out a whole bunch of numbers that could end up being completely wrong. That's just not going to be beneficial for anyone, even if you're saying, well, I need to prepare for what we could potentially see. Well, anticipate seeing snow on the ground. Anticipate, again, potentially being stuck in your house because road conditions are going to be very rough. So kind of prepare for that, if you will. If you have, of course, any preparations left over from last weekend, good on you. You won't have to go to the store. But again, if you are wondering, okay, what do I need to prepare for? Anticipate, again, seeing enough snow on the ground to make travel hazardous and to potentially, again, shut everybody in as we head through both Saturday, but more so Sunday. Saturday is when it all starts to come down. Sunday is when it's going to be here in full and will likely stick around all the way through Monday. That's all we have time for today's 1 p.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. We'll be back with more news and weather coming up at the top of the hour. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday.